Here we go. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the neighborhood, or in the neighborhood, as we like to say it. Listening to the beautiful tunes of Mr. Russ Broom. We're going to get to hang out with the beautiful and artistic Mandy Stobo. But first, you're all asking yourselves, what's going on in Jim's bathroom? Well, I think we're going to get some answers. Jimmy, what's going on? Don't
hi,
start
guys.
yet. Don't start. What's going on?
Let me turn this off for a second so I can hear you. And, all because we decided to raise those $1,500 for kids' cancer. I did make a promise I'd shave, so here I am, shaving away.
Now this is historically important because you've told you haven't shaved since when?
I said I was not gonna. Well, I haven't shaved since I was given a terminal cancer diagnosis. I like to make it sound ominous. Ross, you could have done something with the music there. Terminal cancer diagnosis.
I think it's dramatic enough you saying those words. I don't know the accent.
But the fact is that this is for kids with cancer that we raised the money for. You shaved your noodle, and I'm shaving my beard, and Mandy shaved her beard as well, which was kind. Yeah, my mustache is gone completely. Poor Mandy, I can't hear you, Mandy.
I'm still not going to get too close to the camera. I think, it grows pretty fast. So if people still want to donate, though, can they?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, wonderful.
You can never have enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, that link's on the page.
It should be mentioned that charities like that right now are having fairly, I guess, so everybody's got challenges financially, but those charities are, they still are doing the work that they do, and they're kind of falling behind, and they've got leases, they've got staff, they've got all the trappings of most businesses. So
yes, they do.
Yeah, it'd be great if you could go on the. We'll put a link back up again today, folks.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm going back to my beard.
Okay, you work on your beard. I got other people
to
talk
let me
to.
say goodbye to it first.
All right. Here.
Hi.
Bye, beard.
I love you.
I love you, beard. Bye, beard.
I love you.
It's a historic moment.
I've been in this cave for 2 weeks. I wonder how my marriage is going to survive when I come out and she's dating like a 12-year-old. I'll be like Benjamin Button all over again. At least that's the hope. That's the look I hope I'll go for. Not just to show more wrinkles.
I hope so.
Actually,
what did we watch
sideburns first? All right, here we go.
All right, you get to work. We're going to watch the historic. Should we get him to mute so we can talk, or is it fun to see him bleed and scream? Mandy, how are you? How was your weekend while Jim shaves?
I'm good. My weekend was really good. Yesterday was so beautiful. So we got the deck ready, and I forced the kids to live outside for the day. So that was great. I sunburnt like this, just a corner of my forehead. So it was amazing. It's a good day. I missed you guys, though. I missed you.
Those weekends are long, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. Rusty, how did your weekend end up?
It was good. Yeah. I slept. It was terrific.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah, which was nice. It's been a little hectic. But we did get a puppy. So
what?
Well, I guess the logic is we're all kind of stuck in the house together for an extended period of time. What a great time to train a puppy and do all that kind of stuff.
I saw that. You're crazy, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. But she's very sweet, and she's fitting in really well. So.
This has come up on more than one occasion in our house, so thanks for nothing, Russ, because if John had it his way...
Same.
Oh, my gosh.
That's why we decided to do the aquarium, and we still don't have fish in it.
See, that's why you're so wise, and I'm so
Well, aquariums take quite a long time to get the right biology or something, so it's perfect for me. So I don't have to do anything.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. So I keep saying, I don't think it's ready yet. Well, we should probably wait another week.
Yeah, a couple weeks at least, 2, 3, 6, 8 weeks.
Yeah. Just to get the temperature right takes months sometimes, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So much
I'll see
hair in
how
my
long I
mouth.
can. Oh no.
Jimmy's got a hairy tongue right now. Hey, well, look at
Hey.
maybe while Jim can't speak, it's time maybe we do a craft. Mandy, do you have a craft for us?
Well, I do. I actually do have a craft. Welcome everyone. Happy Monday. It's in the neighborhood with your craft star, Mandy Stobo. So
Yes.
today, because it's Mindful Monday, I have kind of introspective, fun crafts that adults can do. They can frame it, hang them on the wall, but also kids can do. It's kind of, it would be a nice like piece to kind of comment on the moment we're all in. So, are you guys ready?
Are you kidding? Yes, we are. Oh, wait.
Okay, I need some. Yep. Okay, gonna just send it on over. Woo!
Wow. How did you do that?
All right. Can you see me?
Whoa, you look so good.
Okay, guys. So today we're gonna make kind of a collage piece. It's gonna be very exciting. If you have some art prints that are landscapes, I would grab one of those. Like, I'm going to probably use this Alberta wheat field or maybe a jungle scene. I don't know. If you don't have an Alberta or any kind of landscape, you can always buy them at stobo.com. Or you can use anything. If you have a picture of your favorite place, or if you want to find kind of an image in a magazine, that works too. So what we're going to do is we're going to just draw kind of the outline of a person.
All right. Okay. Yeah.
So you're going to just draw, and you can make it look however you like. Then you want to cut it out. So once you have it cut out, then you kind of, you're going to make, and I thought it would be nice to do it with your whole family so everybody has this. So I asked Luca what he would say, and he said, you want to put on something about yourself and how you're feeling right now. So I asked Luca what to put on his person, and he said, I'm invisible. And I said, that's going to look really sad. I get that it's a superpower, but that's going to look sad. So on this one, I wrote, I am happy and beautiful and full of love. This one, I could say, I am here right now, or something like that. And I thought it was a beautiful kind of piece to do with your entire family, and have a little snippet of what we're all going through at this moment. When you are done, you glue it on, and then you'll have a little collage. You can make smaller people, larger people. Yeah. So there you go, guys. Mindful Monday. Back to you, Dave.
That's really sweet.
That's amazing. That's so cool. She's coming back. How did she do it?
Whoa.
That is such a good, because you know what I realized, that in a year, 2, 3, 10 years from now, we'll all talk about this moment. But it would be good to have things that we can say, and this is from that moment, which is what that is, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's a nice way to have that conversation with your kids that is still joyful.
Sorry, I'll turn myself on mute. I apologize.
Oh my God, you're so cute. Yeah, so I'd love to see everyone's collages, because I think it's such a wonderful thing. And I was talking to a filmmaker I know, and he was saying how special this moment is, because we can actually, create during it, which is we usually create after a trauma happens, or that kind of, so we think about the dialogue we want to say or whatever, but now we can actually do it in the moment. So I think that's a great piece to do with your family.
You know what's so awesome? I don't know if this went out that way, but this is what happened, Mandy. It did that freeze for 2 seconds, and then your speech went really fast for about 3 seconds. I like that. It was like, nice. So then you can pause. I think is how it ended, but I love that.
There we go.
Just 1 sec. Sorry. Yes, those are new AirPods. Sorry? Oh, yeah, my new AirPods. Oh, yeah, they're right here.
Are they a trophy, Dave?
Oh, my gosh. I have one more trophy that I can't find. But people say, what if I want to do some coloring? Is there anything around I can do for some coloring? Mandy, what do you got for us?
Well, you guys, get ready. This is like a lottery day for everyone out there. Are you guys? Okay, here we go. Ready, set, boom. Oh, wait. Boom. Baby Yoda.
No.
baby Yoda for you all. Yeah.
Where's
Come on,
Yoda?
we gotta get the baby Yoda back, taking over the news instead of some other things.
Yep.
So that's exciting. Wait, where did I go? Did you guys see it?
We didn't
No.
see
You
it.
didn't see it.
Can't see it.
No. But it sounded good. It's
There is no
Hilarious.
try.
I was wondering. I was like, you guys hate baby Yoda? There it is. Yeah. So that's gonna be fun for all the kids. It's such a good one. Yeah.
kind of appropriate that Jim's looking like baby Jimmy right now. That we have a baby Yoda to go with baby Jimmy.
There is no do, only try.
It's so good. I'm a little disappointed The Mandalorian is only whatever episodes, because we got whatever Disney Plus or whatever it was, and The Mandalorian lasted for the first 2 days of COVID,
Yeah.
and now it's like the next one's not coming out till the fall.
I know.
That's how it used to be, Dave. Remember that?
I don't. But what I do know, Jim, is that the internet is funny, is it not?
Oh, the internet is hilarious.
Is it really?
Oh, it's funny. Why don't we put on some internet funny? So today it was a combination. Today's theme is a combination of hair and cancer. So maybe we should
Those are
start
two
with
hilarious parts of life, right?
yeah. Well, it's a bit of a theme. So if you could please put the first one up, Mandy. It's basically that I don't really know.
Huh? Which one?
Is it?
Which one?
Cure.
Okay. I thought so.
See, I'm no expert on COVID-19. But this is the cure. I want
so
you to
good.
pay attention to their hair.
Yeah. See what you did there? Yes.
It's amazing.
Okay,
Yeah.
this is a late night one last night here. What do you
Yeah.
got there, Mandy? See, again, accidentally turn on the webcam during a conference call. Yeah, that's funny. And that's how I felt a few minutes ago until I cleaned up. Now, this one here coming up is, it's a bit of shock therapy for you average people out there.
Are you ready?
Let's go. When you thought you caught the coronavirus, but doctors, it's just cancer.
Only the guy with cancer can put that on.
So there you go.
God.
Thank God I don't have COVID.
When you texted me that this weekend, I instantly cried and laughed at the same time. It was a new thing for me. It was amazing.
Yeah, I apologize for
Jimmy.
that.
That is hilarious.
It would
Look
be
at
good if
you.
the person that did that actually did have cancer, because that would make it really funny. If it didn't, then the guy's a real dick. He's not in the
so
club.
true.
You got to be in the club, man.
You know what? Okay, I have a confession to make, Jim. On the trampoline yesterday, John and Tess were laughing, and I'm like, "What are you laughing at?" They're bouncing on it, going, they said there was some joke, and it had the word cancer in it, and I'm like, "You can't joke about cancer." And they were like, "Jimmy jokes about cancer." So, I had nothing.
Hey, it's my trampoline. It's my rules. They can joke all they want.
I will tell them cancer jokes are just fine on Jim's trampoline because
Yeah.
Jim has cancer. So
That's
fine.
it.
Terrible. Hey, now, speaking of serious, though, Mandy, you have a great hero for us today, and it was a rough weekend, but talk us through your feelings on this one.
Thanks for doing this, by the way, Mandy.
Yeah.
My pleasure. I had a big call this morning, and before, when I was getting ready, obviously watching the news, and it's just so shocking what is going on in Nova Scotia right now, and all the beautiful lives that are lost, and all the people that are not able to gather together and figure out this kind of tragedy. So I wanted to honor Constable Heidi Stevenson, who lost her life this weekend. And I just think it's really important to take time and really feel these moments and send love that way, even amidst COVID. So yeah, I'm getting emotional. I'll put this on.
Yeah. So Heidi Stevenson, a 23-year veteran of the RCMP in Nova Scotia, and a mom and was shot over the weekend as part of the terrible spree that happened there. And Mandy did this beautiful drawing for her. It's so sad. Why don't we, Mandy and Jimmy, both you mentioned it, so why don't I be quiet for a moment and we can just let this picture sit for a moment and remember and send all our strong thoughts to this amazing family and what they're having to go through. It's just beautiful, Mandy. Thank you.
Thank you.
What a heartbreak, huh? You know, on the weekend, I went to Safeway, Walmart, one of the two, by our house, and they did that drive-by thing. Was I telling you guys about this? Where I look up and there's a police car and then a fire truck and then it's like two ambulances and I'm like, what is going on at Safeway? And they all put on their sirens and drove right by just to say thanks to all these people who were helping us. And you think
Aw.
I was standing in the parking lot clapping and crying. It was so emotional. And you think
Yeah.
these are people that are out there. You imagine Heidi's life or Heidi's day started like any other, the rest of us dealing with this crisis, and then it took a horrible turn. So what a terrible thing. Yay. They're lucky they have a heart. We're lucky we have a heart like Mandy Stobo's around to make such a horrible thing, at least to say something artistically and to say that we care. So thank you, Mandy.
Thank you, babe. I love you guys.
The only thing that could help us out of this is to look at Jim's face. I think that's the only thing. What do you got, Jim?
True.
Oh, you're still muted, Jim. Take your mute off. Get rid of your muted. We need to hear.
I'm saying I always thought I had more of a chin.
Yeah.
Yeah, just walk around like that, though. Just extend it.
Like that?
Yeah.
Beautiful. Oh, this is amazing.
It's a lot more fun growing a beard than shaving it off, I'll tell you that much.
It's a lot cooler. Like, don't you feel the wind all of a sudden on your face?
All I feel is a scratch. I don't think this is the newest razor blade I've ever had either.
No.
It's catching.
Oh my God. One
so
time on breakfast television, Andrew Schultz grew one of those Movember, grew his mustache. And we had somebody from one of those barbers come on at the end of November to shave it off for him. And the guy was nervous, and he's like, no problem. One of those super confident until the cameras were rolling. And then I saw him start to sweat, and he grabbed Andy, and honest to God, he hacked his mustache. There was blood everywhere.
No! Oh,
it was the worst. And the poor guy felt bad, and he tried to cover it up. Oh, it's fine. And he's like, Andy's like, ay.
Did he start going in? He started going into the explanation of why the barber signs are like that, eh? Did he pull out leeches next?
Yeah, it was brutal.
That's awesome.
Well, we're gonna have more comments from 12-year-old Jimmy, but before we do, let's bring Avnish on for Mindfulness Monday. Because it's always good to get ourselves a little more mindful, especially on a day like today. And how are you, Avnish?
Yay!
Good, better and better. How you guys doing?
Well, I don't know if you can see Jimmy, but look at him. This is I was going to say 12-year-old Jim. I don't know if he looks 12 or not.
I think he looks amazing.
I think I'm just going to leave this hair down here. It hurts too much.
Now, that angle, when he was looking up, he looked a bit like an old lady, didn't he, a little bit? Look up, Jim. Look like you're looking at your chin. See? Oh, there's Granny.
I look like my mom?
Like a big white wig. Yeah.
Just call me Barbara for the rest of the show.
This is so good.
Avnish, how was your week?
The week, you know what? Watching all your shows, what an incredible week you folks had. Eh? That was amazing.
Nice.
That was so cool. I know you just did a tribute to Constable Haley there. My roommate in university lived in Dartmouth, and so I had a chance to spend a lot of time out there. And a lot of the folks that we still know are kind of, some of them are directly impacted about what's going on. Like it's been it's been pretty intense in terms of what's happening in knowing that area, and it's just yeah, along with everything else, it's sort of we need to heal. We need to sort of figure out ways to be able to move things around. And clearly, the white energy that we pass over to Jimmy is still stuck on his chin, which is pretty great.
Look at him, our little 12-year-old.
Cutest.
I like, you know what? I kind of like when Jim's muted too. Isn't it make it easier? Is it just me, or is it way better when that happens?
I feel so calm.
Yeah.
Damn you all.
Now I don't.
All right, Avnish, what can we do today to be a bit more mindful? Help us out.
Well, I was thinking about this over the weekend, and I really do appreciate it. A lot of folks have been sending notes directly saying, hey, what do you think about this? Or how do we deal with this? Or so one of the things that I wanted to share with everybody, which is a kind of a little secret that I have, is creating a place of relaxation. So it's actually creating a place where you go to. So if you're not good at a like a passive meditation where you're just sort of just hanging out and trying to clear your mind, which I think most of us aren't, but it allows for you to go to a place where it's your place, and you're going to use some of the same the screen, the black screen, to be able to create it. But you want to create a space where you can just go to for 5 minutes and it's your space. Right. So when you think about sort of places or things that make you feel relaxed, what are some of those elements? Like, I feel like a beach is probably a normal thing, or like a hammock. But when you guys think about relaxation, what are some of the the spaces that would come to mind for you?
For me, it's the studio for sure, or being able to just paint. It's when my mind just goes silent and I can create. So, yeah, I think that's a nice space to be.
For sure.
Mandy, how do you do that? Can I ask a question? Am I allowed to talk to Mandy? Avnish, what are the rules right now? Because this maybe is a creative question for Russ and Mandy, but in that, like when you say, I'm going to go be inspired, Mandy, do you wait until you feel it, or do you just start? Like, what gets you from, okay, kids sit down, guys do this, whatever your life is, to now I'm creating? How do you get yourself there?
Yeah, I think because well, as a lot of you guys know, I have PTSD, and I have gone through some kind of not the best things, and through it found art, and that's kind of when my brain would go silent. And then but then it gets to the point in your creative career, I think Russ can attest to this, where you just have so much to create that you have that time to create that specific thing right now. And so you're constantly in this kind of realm where that you have 45 minutes to finish that project. And so there's always, I think, creativity flowing because you're constantly making so much. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Russ, what's your sense?
I think it's just trusting that inspiration is always kind of there, like a river running underneath the ground
Yeah.
that you don't always see. Cool. But like I used to be very precious about being inspired, and I used to kind of put it on a pedestal when I was younger and think that those were really precious moments. And then eventually I was like, it's always there. I just have to relax and let it happen rather than get in the way of it. So now I don't think about inspiration at all. I almost look at being creative as my job, and I just come in here, and if it doesn't happen right away, I just poke at it until it does. Sometimes I come in with one intent, and that's just not going to happen, but something else will come from that. And I think with this time too, with how the whole world is on pause, I think as an artist, you spend so much time reacting to things or digesting things in the moment and trying to answer those questions that you feel are being asked of you every day. And now that everything has sort of slowed down a bit, I'm finding all sort of things that have happened to me over the years, the subconscious stuff is coming to the surface, and I can express that more without the interruptions or the anxiety of having to react to everything that's happening in the moment. So really, I think it's a good time to be creative in a sense that it lets you draw from a deeper well without getting caught up in sort of the more shallow things that happen every day. But yeah, I just trust that inspiration is always there, and it always has been. So
yeah,
Love it.
Avnish,
it's in us all.
yeah, it is totally.
It's in you, Dave.
I think it's wonderful that like there's sort of few of us that have a space to do that, right? Like a space for sort of inspiration and creativity, and the fact that you folks both have that, you know, is it like that's a real gift, right? Like you can go somewhere and do it.
Well, it's a bathtub for me.
Yeah,
honestly,
totally, right?
Because it's away from everything, and then things percolate. Right?
Yeah.
And it's sort of recognizing where are those places, right? So that when you are there, then you sort of own that calm, and you own sort of what that experience is, rather than it could be all the other little things that creep into that space, right? Just like meditation, when other sort of things pop into our minds, and you're like, no, I don't want to think about that. I don't want to think about this. Our physical spaces are no different, right? Filled with interruptions, people coming in. So it's like, how are you sort of managing those spaces? And that's sort of this creation of a place of relaxation allows for you to be able to, or at least in my practice and some other the people that I've learned from, allows for you to kind of go to a place where it's yours, right? It's totally created in your mind. It's visually deep. It becomes sort of the more and more you visit it, the richer and richer the experience gets. And for some people, it's it's sitting on a beach on a hammock. For others, it's sort of deep in the mountains. I had a yogi that, or sorry, she was a Swamiji that she would walk us through a space meditation. So you were sort of where you were, and she's like, move yourself sort of higher and higher above, and like leave the earth, keep on going to like the darkest parts of of space, and it's actually an amazing thing, because things like, is that comet going to hit me, like comes into your mind as you're floating around, or like, how do I control myself up here, or like all this random stupidity that sort of like enters your mind when you're playing imagination. But you all of a sudden get to these like really dark places where there is no light, because light hasn't reached there yet. And like that's a trip, right? That's a really cool way of letting your mind sort of explore, and knowing that you're rooted in your chair, knowing that you're sort of physically here, but you can go and relax and be completely somewhere else, and your mind and sort of your spirit is taking that journey. So it is about finding this space. There's a couple of little rules, kind of quote unquote, is that your spaces of relaxation need to be a place for you. So no animals, sort of nothing really to potentially get in the way of your own experience. If you're doing some active meditation, of course, you can invite people in, but you can just spend 5 minutes in these places, and it allows you to do two things. It's the energy exchange, where you're receiving energy from the source, and then in your place of relaxation, it's a place to be able to give back as well. And so you're plugging back in and allowing for the energy to top back up. And the more and more that you sort of visit it, the richer and the richer the experience becomes. You'll start seeing more and more details. You'll start to get more relaxed even sooner. And it's a really cool way of being able to spend sort of 5 minutes on your own to do something for nobody else but just you. So play around with it. Think about a place that is true to who you are, feels comfortable, and mine has sort of evolved from, just to give you an example, mine's evolved from, we had this tree in our backyard, and we went through Earth Keepers Camp, and I don't know if Ken Lima Coelho is sort of watching this, but this Earth Keepers Camp in grade 6 was like formative in my life, right? Like it was this amazing experience. You're out in the wilderness, but they're like, find a place, like a quiet place in nature that is connected to you, and that was it. I used to sit under this tree. The house was to the back behind me, and so you couldn't really see anything except for a bit of the backyard and the fence. And now it's sort of evolved into, in my own mind, a deep dark forest. It's like it's covered. It's a place where I can kind of cocoon into a tree, and it allows me to feel rooted. I can root through the tree into the earth. Some of those things that are just sort of really important when we're so cerebral, we're so sort of up here. how do you start, really bringing and sort of firing yourself down into those spaces?
Right.
And if you really want a bit of a mind bend, the concept around there's no time and space. So, time is a construct. These types of things, these 5-minute intervals are all things that we've created. Tell yourself that, you know what, I'm going to go and meditate for 5 minutes, but it's going to feel like I've been relaxing for an hour. And you start telling yourself these things and start playing around with like time continuums and what that looks like. All of a sudden, those 5 minutes can feel like you've been relaxing for an hour, and you're sort of totally different when you emerge from it. So it's sort of really cool what can happen here when you start going there. But find a place of relaxation, and if you can visit it 3 times a day for 5 minutes a day, it will start to sort of change the way that your mind connects and the way that it can spend. It's sort of it's a safe place that each of us create for ourselves, and I think that's sort of one of the greatest gifts that you can give yourself.
Beautiful. Well done, Avnish.
Thanks, Avnish.
Jim, you look amazing.
Yes.
It's the boobs. It's the boobs.
Oh,
boobs make everything look great.
Oh, you look great.
How does it feel, Jim?
Oh, you're so cute.
You know what? As I shaved it, I got a little verklempt for a while there, because I reminded myself of my mom when I shaved the beard off. It was pretty cool.
Aww.
That's sweet.
Now I'm bringing tears to my eyes. Way to go, Mandy.
I'm sorry.
Wow. Well, look at I got a story ready today that I wanted to say, because it's funny, Avnish, you're talking about your own space. This is kind of related, which is John. When John and I went for a walk today, he was talking about, well, when I'm older, he measured his height and he feels really tall. So today was all about how old he was. It was like, I'm going to look at that play school and it's going to seem so small one day. It's already small for me. And he's like, nah. But it's funny how there's certain physical locations. And I was thinking of you, Jim, and shaving off your beard today, because and you talk about, you haven't shaved it since this all went down. And I don't know calendar wise where that happened for you, but I was at Broken City, I think, on the Broken City has the patio on top, doesn't it? That bar or the sitting on top. And I was having a beer with some friends. Gary Davies, one of them, and Gary says, "Hey, have you talked to Jim?" And I said, "No." And he goes, "You should call him." And he wouldn't tell me anything else. And I was like, "Why should I call Jim?" So I got on my bike and I was biking home, and I couldn't wait till I got home. So I pulled over where Mikey's juke joint used to be, where the overpass of Crowchild Trail is, right there, where I take my bike down to the river road. And I pulled over. Do you pull over on a bike? I don't know if that's how it works. I got off my bike and I phoned Jim. And Jimmy was, it was super noisy. I'm like, "Where are you?" And he's like, "I'm at a bowling alley." So he goes, "It's our staff party for Village." And I said, "Well, Gary said I should call you, so I'm calling you." And Jim said, oh yeah, right. He probably wanted me to tell you the cancer came back. And he says it like he's bowling, which he was. And I'm like, what? And he goes, "Yeah, the guy, I went to the doctor. The cancer's back. It's bad. They say maybe I got a year, maybe 2. Anyway, I got to go bowl." And I was like, and I remember just standing there and saying, "I love you, Jim." And Jim said, "I love you." And then he had to go bowl. And then I cried under Crowchild. And then I had to bike up the hill. So thanks for that, Jim. You could have told me at the top of the hill, not at the bottom of the hill.
I gave you the burden so I could focus on my bowling game.
But what's amazing, looking at your beard, and it was amazing to see you, is that beard has been growing for longer than your diagnosis was, which makes me so happy to say, look at, he's still here, and he looks maybe 13, maybe 14 right now with your beard gone. But I just am so every time I drive under Crowchild, and I think of Jim. It's my little Jim spot where I go, "Hey, look at this is where the phone call is," and he's still with us, and he's still as excited and full of life as I've always known you to be. So this was my moment of saying that, for folks that are losing friends on the weekend, like we were talking about earlier, but my place sometimes is under the Crowchild overpass. That's my little gym spot where I go. That's my Jimmy moment.
That's cool, man. Thanks.
Yeah,
Appreciate it. I
Yeah.
remember that call vividly, and
Yeah.
I remember I hadn't told anybody at the brewery yet, so it was kind of a tough thing to try and explain that to you while I was, and I had a good run going too. But
you're an amazing bowler too. I think everyone needs to know that.
Yeah.
You are.
That's true.
Yeah, I might have cancer, but check out my shoes. Yeah, they're really cool. Wow, that's so great. So look, for folks, for everybody watching, there is so much love in Jim Button's heart and Mandy Stobo's heart and Russ Broom's heart and Avnish's heart and mine for all of you, whatever you're dealing with. That I think the only answer is to dance, Mandy. Don't you feel that? Is there anything else we could do? Nice work, my friend. Nice work.